So we've got the couple of remaining parts in the cab now. So we've got both of the, all three pedals and the gear shift lever. We've still got to get the steering column in, but I can't get that in until the steering wheel's done. I've also made the template for the roof as well. So this is going to be one of the last things that's going to go in, but I just wanted to get this done now just so that I know that I had it. Basically, I'm going to have to paint the whole of the outside of the cab and get all of the wires in for the lights before this goes in. So it's going to be pretty much one of the last jobs that I do before the cab goes in, before the whole of the cab's put together. So that's kind of fun, looking forward to that bit. And we've been working on the dashboard. That's kind of like what it's looking at the moment. That's had a couple of rounds of microsole on there, so that's starting to settle down quite nicely now. I think maybe another go on the microsole and that should be set quite nicely, and then we just need to leave that to dry overnight. The glue is almost dried on the on the inside, which is good. I've also made the little template as well to go on the inside. We've got the lights on there. So that's good. Just need to make the sidewall for it. Basically that's going to sort of stop just after the last dial. And then once that's done, I can get that. I can get the wires mounted in, or I can get the lights wired up, and then get that light blocking part put in, and then light blocked, and then that'll be the dashboard complete. Then that can go into the inside, that can go to the cab, and then the cab will be done. Apart from the little driver, which should hopefully be with me in a couple of days time, so I can start playing around with him. And that sounds a bit rude actually. What I mean is getting his arms in the right area and using the putty to make it look as though his joints are realistic rather than those stupid little ones that they have on them. So that is about it for the moment. As soon as I've got some more work done to this wee beastie, I will come back to you. My little man come through the post today, which is great news. I've tried him out in the cab. He does fit on the passenger side, quite snug. But he doesn't fit on the driver's side, and that's really because of the pedals that are in the way, and it's really the left leg, or sorry, the right leg, that's causing the problem. So what I've had to do, whether you'll see this or not, let's have a look, is I've marked out on his leg where he needs to be cut. Basically, I had the leg at that position, and it's his leg that's actually stopping it from going up a bit further how I do need it to go. So I just drew in pencil around the leg, which left me with that shape to cut out. So I'm just going to sort of have a little go and cut some of that plastic away, and then see what we come up with, and hopefully we'll be able to get him fitting in the cab a bit better. And then once we've got to that stage, then like places like where his elbow are, where you can see the joints and whatnot, I can just go in with a little bit of perfect plastic putty and get those little joints sorted out, and then I'll be able to give him I'll be able to paint him a different colour. So yeah, I shall be back as soon as I've got him looking a little bit better. Good news is, after a little bit of cutting away, we've got his leg now in position where we needed it. Believe it or not, it only needed to move a couple of millimetres, which we've done, as you can see there. We've cut quite a bit of his leg out, but not too much. So what I've basically done is I've got his legs in position and then just glued in from behind. So hopefully they'll stay like that now. I just leave it a little while for the glue to set in, and then I'll just fill up all the gaps with some perfect putty. Only really need to work on the leg joints to begin with, and the hip joints, and then once they're done and I've got the steering wheel and the dash in, I can then work on his arms, get those glued into place as well, and then just put the putty on them, and then I'll be able to paint him. So as soon as I got the whole lot done on him, I will come back to you. Made some progress on the dashboard. We've got the light box built on the back. That had to be split into two different components to get it in. Really, it was a little bit difficult because the contours are all over the place on this, so it was just best to split it down into two different components and put it in from there. So that's actually glued in now, just waiting for that to dry. The lights for the whole do light up. Not fantastic, but still looks reasonably good. So kind of happy for that, really, to be fair. As I say, it's just the main the main dials on this that are lighting up. Once the glue is fully cured on this, I will then be able to light block the back end of this, and then I will give it a satin coat all over just to help bring everything into perspective on that. So that's looking good. The main body of the cab, if we bring this up like so, you have to do the special effects with it when you do it. So we've got the main body of the cab that's been painted in silver all over. It is going to be a silver violet or silver and violet two-tone job. Still not really too sure at the moment on the two-tone effect that I'm going to be going for at the moment, but that's not looking too bad. That's actually looking quite nice. I did use the Revell Aqua. Well, let's get that in camera. So I used the Revell Aqua Color for this, and it's the silver number 90, and that is actually really good stuff. The thinning medium that you would use for this is water, just good old plain old-fashioned water, no added chemicals necessary, and that sprays onto the truck quite nicely actually, so quite happy with the result on that. I've just been working on it in the background. We did have some real bad seam lines going around the top and the front end that we've managed to get rid of. As I say, at the moment, no real idea of what I'm going to be doing as a two-tone effect on that. So let's bring that back down again and give Dairy Egberts a free advert. Dairy Egberts, if you're listening, a couple of jars of coffee would be nice. We've also started working on the side of the bonnet, I suppose you can call that. That actually does need to be smoothed down. That's gone a little bit rough for some reason around that area, and around this area here. So I'm just going to smooth that down and redo that. We've got the inside sorted out as well. There was some horrendous injector pin marks on sort of basically on each four corners in there, and there was also some on the inside here where you attach the wheel covers, I don't know, whatever you call those really, where you attach those into there was pins, but they didn't actually fit flush to the surface. They were just below the surface, so I've gone in there with a little bit of squadron putty, putted those out, or putted those smooth, and then cleaned them all up. They're looking good, and also then just put the little holes in that I need for the wires to run through for the lights that are going to end up on the end of the wing there, or whatever it's called. I'm not really sure on these trucks what they're called. I call them mud guards, but that's the kind of thing that you would get on a bike. Sure, it's a different terminology for a truck. The other thing that we have been working on as well is the sleeper cab, and this has been a right pain in the body. None of the panels actually fitted properly. I got them to fit as best as I possibly could, but unfortunately it still meant a hell of a lot of sanding to actually get them to sort of sit flush with each other, really. So what I've had to then do, as you can see there, is just basically go around all of the seams with squadron putty. I know that looks a little bit excessive the way that I've done that, but unfortunately there's no other way to do it apart from that. So that's been dry now for a good 24 hours, so I should hopefully be able to start to sand that down now. Once I've sanded that down, because I've been using a combination of this file here, which is really rough, and also this, which is even rougher, to help get that smoothed down, because otherwise it would have taken forever. And I don't use that terminology lightly. It would have taken forever. And then I kind of then followed up with the sort of flat and curved. Let's try and get those in camera. My hands aren't working. So we used the sort of flat curved one and also the flat file to do that. And then I went along with my little sanding sponge afterwards, just to get rid of the worst of the marks that were left in there. Then I applied the putty. So what I'm going to do after that is I'm just going to use this, again, the sanding sponge, because that's quite good actually. I'm just going to use that to get rid of as much of the squadron putty as I possibly can. And then I'm just going to switch to 600 wet and dry sandpaper, just to make sure that everything else is okay, and then just basically go over the whole thing with 650 grit sandpaper. One of the other things that I need to do as well on this side, the only way that I can actually get all the electronics in is actually by sticking them in here, because as you can see we've got quite a bit of room. We have got the floor for it here, just not put it on yet. The idea is the fact that once I've got all the lights in the back end, I can then go back in through here and re-drill the holes out so we can get those in. And then we can have all the wires meeting up in here, along with the battery as well. So the idea is if I don't drop it, the idea is that we can have this door open, well, not kind of fully open, but we can make some kind of hinge system on the inside for this. So it would normally be shut, and then if you need to get in there to change the batteries, etc., you can just open the door and change the batteries, and that'd be fantastic. Hopefully that little plan will work. And then what we're going to do, once I've actually worked out exactly how this fits, I'm going to get rid of this bit here. I mean, you got the Peterbilt registered trademark, so I will get rid of that. I don't want that there. But what I will do with this is, once this is actually laid flat, I'll then decide exactly where I need the on-off switch for it. I want it somewhere where it's easily accessible, but somewhere where you're not really going to see it. So it might sit just inside the leather frame chassis, and then hopefully that will take care of that. Again, you're not going to see the inside of this, so I'm not really too worried about getting the injector pin marks on this one, or the little 21 side on that side. The only thing really, as I say, is just that little bit of raised lettering on there. And this will be left off actually until the very end of the build, to be fair, because I want to get the bottom of this needs to be painted in black. So once I've got the main body sorted out and all the colours have been put on, and it's also had its gloss coat put on, I can then get all the wiring and all the lights put in that side of it as well. And then once that's all sorted out, I'll then be able to put the switch, or get this painted, get the switch put in, and also some kind of little harness or whatever for the battery to sit in. So we are making a bit of progress. As I say, at the moment I can't really do anything more to the cabin until such time that the dashboard has been sorted out. As I say, I'm just waiting for the glue to dry on that at the moment. So as soon as that's dry, I'll be able to then continue and get the cabin finished. The little man, I've tested him. I've now glued his arms into the way that I want them glued. So it's then just going to be a case of kind of filling in all these little seams, getting rid of these little seams down the sides of his pants, and then just filling in that little gap there, and just sort of, you know, the gaps around his knees, etc., and also around his elbows, and try and match it to the way that his sleeves are rolled up. Once that's done, I'll then be able to, I'm not going to be too worried about that marking on the back, because you're not going to see that. But then what I'll do, as I say, is I will then just paint him. I'll most probably still paint the blue for jeans, and at the top I'm not really sure what colour I'll go for. Most probably go for it might be the same colour actually, but just a different shade of brown. So yeah, still waiting on him to dry up at the moment so I can get all that in. But apart from that, I've got nothing else really to show you at the moment, to be fair. I do need to start working on the front bumper with the lights, and I also need to start working on the rear lights as well to get those in before we start doing anything else as well, or before we start fitting the body on. I think what I'm going to do is get the body test fitted first before I do anything else though, just to make sure it does fit properly. But yeah, that's about it. As I say, roll on, just waiting for this to this little wee beastie to dry, and then I can get the light sheen clear coat on there, and that should be okay. So that's about it for the moment, guys. I will come back to you as soon as I've made a little bit more progress on this wee beastie. Now got the sanding done to the sleeper part of the cabin, and that's starting to look a little bit better now. There's a few areas around here, I believe, especially like this little bit here where it's, you got a wavy line. I think that's just basically some marks in the plastic itself actually that's created those, but they are as smooth as anything. The next thing for me to do really is take the bottom off. I only put the bottom on really just to help me with the sanding, just so it's got some rigidity to it whilst it was being sanded. So the next thing for me to do now really is just give this a bit of a clean up, and once I've done that, I'll just put the first layer of primer on there just to see, especially around sort of like the edges where we've done a lot of sanding. I'll just kind of concentrate on those areas to begin with, just to see if there's anything that we've missed. Once we've done that, this side door I'm then going to need to scribe out, and once I've done that, I'll then be able to make the plate that goes on the other side to actually hold that in place. But yeah, a bit of a slow one sanding that. That's taken me the best part of 2 hours just to get that bit sanded. So hopefully when I do the first layer primer, I'm kind of keeping my fingers crossed that there's not going to be much work needed left to do following that, but you know, Murphy's Law pops up and says yes there is, but we'll soon see. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done, and as soon as I've got that done I will come back to you.